We're going to try to get an update now from the fire department. Larry Langford, spokesperson for the fire department, is on the phone with us. Larry, Tanya and I are here. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, Larry, thank you. What's the status of the fire right now?
Fire is still a 411 alarm and it's not been struck out. Fire continues to spread vertically from one unit to another. They're using the best tactics to put a stop on it, but sadly I have to report that we do have one fatality in this fire now. From the 15th floor. I'm not sure which unit, but we have one confirmed fatality, and we're just searching out to make sure there are no more. Last report, we had 7 people transported to the hospital. 1 was serious. The others are in pretty good shape. We have about 32 people that we have in a second floor area that we brought down from the upper floors, and they're being attended to. They're all fine, no complaints there. Some people are being told to shelter in their units, others that were closer to the fire we've brought downstairs. So everyone is doing well right now. That fatality was on 15, but I'm not sure what unit. It's highly possible that that's from the unit where the fire began, but I cannot confirm that just yet. I'm in the lobby. I'm talking to Fire Command, and I'll be able to update that in a little while.
Larry, some clarity on that one fatality. You said you had 7 transports. This isn't somebody who was taken to the hospital and died there. This is somebody that was found in the building?
That is correct. And during a search, we have found a victim who is deceased, and we're just checking to see if there are any others, anybody else unaccounted for right now. That's part of the protocol, so that is going on right now.
Larry, and I don't mind being a student here. Feel free to school me on this. When we're talking about a fire, particularly in a high-rise building, I've been a part of drills where you get everybody out of the building as quickly as you can. In this situation, that hasn't been the case. In fact, we're hearing that from you and the fire department, you believe that the building, in some cases, is the safest place for residents to be right now. How do you square that? What's the explanation behind it?
The protocol that we use, the Chicago Fire Department, when dealing with a high-rise building, some units would be best for shelter in place and others evacuate. What we generally do is evacuate the floor above and the floor above the fire, above and below the fire, depending upon the size of the building, what the footprint of the building is. In a building like this, if you are some distance away and floors down or above, the fire is not spreading laterally, it's spreading vertically, so you're very safe in some of the units. The decision is made with command on which units will be evacuated and which are shelter in place. That's why we have 25 or 30 people downstairs on the second floor, far, far away from the fire, where they're perfectly safe. Other people are being told to stay in their units, and if they start to get smoke conditions, they call 911, and we will send crews directly to them to evaluate and evacuate if necessary. But to bring everybody out of a high-rise building during a fire, when the units are perfectly safe, is something we don't want to do. You can get injured with all the people coming out, and it's best for shelter in place in many of the units in a building that's built this way. It's compartmentized, so it does not lend to lateral spread of fire.
Larry, can you educate us a little bit structurally? What have we been seeing here? Because we saw the fire on one of the mid-teen floors to start. It spread very quickly up high and then a little bit down below as well. Tell us what is happening, what has happened, or what was intentional about the construction of this building that we're not seeing the fire spread outward but only up and down, and how do you approach that from a firefighting perspective when you have concerns, or do you have concerns about structural integrity? Firefighters, for example, standing on floors that are charred trying to put out hot spots.
The building is very sound, and this is a masonry building, so we're not worried about the walls going or the floors going, building like. And laterally, the fire is not penetrating the masonry construction. The problem here is that when you have the windows that fail and you have a large volume of fire, which we had in the early stages on the 15th floor, that causes the heat to rise on the outside. It then takes out the glass in the unit above. The curtains catch fire. Furniture catches fire because you have a draft now blowing in, bringing oxygen in, and the fire takes the next unit above it. Laterally, it's not a problem, but vertically it is. And crews have been trying to get above it and stop the fire, and that's the challenge because it heats up that glass, it breaks, it goes very quickly if you've been watching the video. The hoses that are used to fight the fire are hooked up to standpipes. So we have to bring hoses in from the ground up to the fire floor, above and below, and hook those hoses up and start fighting the fire. Takes some time, takes some manpower. They're using the best tactics they can, including what they call a high-rise pipe to try to direct water to units above. But it is a challenge, because the fire tends to spread once the glass breaks.
Larry, real quick before we let you go, just want to get a clarification on one thing that you mentioned. You mentioned this is a 4-alarm fire. Alarms, by the way, for anybody watching, is an indication of how many firefighters have been called out. Did you say 4 alarms? How many firefighters are we talking about out there right now?
This is a 411. We have well over about 250 to 300 firefighters are on the scene right now, including EMS personnel, because we have a lot of EMS folks that are just tending to the people in the building to make sure they're okay, and take care of their needs, make sure they're being monitored and they're all right.
And we're going to keep looking at this live picture, Larry. But what's the work ahead for firefighters at this point through the rest of the afternoon?
Well, the thing, of course, is to stop this fire, which it might be that it gets to the roof. To stop it from going up vertically. After that, extinguishment is relatively routine. There will be a complete search of all the units to make sure everybody's good. Then OFI starts their work. The Office of Fire Investigation starts their work to figure out what happened. They've already started interviewing people, and will go over the building's systems, make sure everything worked properly, and that the protocols were all followed. And we'll investigate to see just why it did lap up so fast, if there's anything that can be done to work to stop something like that in the future.
Larry, I can't imagine the weather has been helpful. 34 degrees right now, and that snow was coming down real hard at some point. Can you tell us any particular challenges that your firefighters are facing?
Snow is not a challenge here on this at all. The problem is that when you get the fire this much heat on the side of the building, you start getting your own little weather system, and you start getting rather windy conditions that take place. So as the glass breaks, you get wind up there, and the fire is then it's fanned by the wind that's coming in the window. So it's a challenge. The temperature is not really a challenge right here. It's at freezing. That's not really much of a problem. If we were talking sub-zero, it would be an issue, but it's not.
Got it. All right, Larry Langford. Larry, really appreciate the update. Thank you so much, and please keep us posted.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.